Hi, Mark here from the Tangibound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangibound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangibound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangiboundNetwork.com and see if Tangibound Network is right for you.
Sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. A life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to The Crazy Life, everyone. My name's Jen, and I am your hostess for the evening. And with me, as always, is Brian. And welcome back to Henno. Hey, guys. How you guys doing?
Good evening.
Hi.
It's a good evening. Hi.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
So, according to the rules...
The rules.
Yeah.
Of all things crazy life.
Yeah, all things were crazy life. Somebody has to go first on how his week's been.
Anxiety. So ready for the anxiety to be over.
I bet.
So, Henno, how are you? How
Tired.
You been?
Tired, hungry, discontent. I need a meeting. Wait. I should be at the meeting right now. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Why am I talking to you people? Oh, because this is as good. I've been
Good.
great.
I'm glad that we feel we rank up there.
I've been great. But I am tired, and I'm tired in that anxiety tiredness, which is deeper than a physical tired. It just I know there was one point where Sharon was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Meaning, actually, be on city council. And I'm like, no, city council will be a piece of cake. Right now, it's the tired from deadlines and anxiety from did I say the right thing and am I representing? Am I doing enough? Blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. And it's a great reminder it's not a great reminder, but it's a reminder of that feeling. And at least for me, that feeling only comes with when life lifes you. Really? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's when you're about to lose your job, or you did lose your job, or you lost your girlfriend, or you might not get something that you really want, or that kind of thing. And that's that anxiety. And to have it not from a negative, this is a great positive experience, but to have it and to be reminded of it, it's like, wow, this is crushing. And then to think that people suffering from mental health have this every day. And just like, I can't imagine that level of a feeling. It's drained. You feel drained. So, and then there was physical tired from just late, just getting stuff done, doing my web stuff, doing the videos that I did, and and then getting up more early in the morning and a lot of studying. But the last 2 weeks have been the most fun because it was for us when our local newspaper is, for a small town newspaper, it ranks way up there. They get national recognition, definitely they get state recognition. It's a really, really good paper. And they do a great job of putting a spotlight on the politics, and they do their own forum, which is called Pizza and Politics. And that's an opportunity for the newspaper to ask questions, the public ask questions, the candidates ask themselves questions. And this year is the first time they put it on video, so you can find that if you look for Haley Pizza and Politics, you'll see me up there doing the back and forth with my opponent. And that was the most fun because it was the first time I really got to interact a lot with an audience, and where it wasn't prepared, where I had to and talk about. I mean, I think I did really well. You were given 30 to 40 seconds, and then they held up a stop sign.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to make your point, and
right.
I hit it every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But my opponent blew through it all the time. So
you
just
can't do that. That's not fair.
Did you?
So
Did you hover behind her while she was talking? Sorry, go on.
I totally,
Couldn't help myself.
sorry, everyone's ears there.
Yeah, sorry.
Menacingly, yeah. No, this is the Heno did the Heno thing. You notice that your opponent, who I've met her a couple of times, she runs a farmer's market, and I played gigs at the farmer's market, so it's been real quick. But this was the first time we were formally meeting each other. She knows Sharon quite well, my wife, and it was the first time that we'd ever actually had a chance to talk to each other, and I could tell she was nervous and a little flustered. And I just, said, Kaz, this is what a friend of mine told me. Remember to have fun. So let's go up there and have fun. And she's like, yeah, it's just city council. It's like, yeah, that's all it is. And so we literally high-fived each other before, like we're at the front and it's about, let's go, high five. And at the end we high-fived each other. And so the only problem is so we get off and we're done with our part. The other two are going to go up next, and we have people coming up to us going, that was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And they're like, especially because you have two people discussing things kindly, in supporting each other and without negativity. And some people were like, wow, you could really feel how just there was good energy in the room, and especially in light of recent politics, to see such a dramatic difference. I think people were shocked, and I loved hearing that. But the problem is, I made her very likable. A lot of people don't like her because she has a style, and it's her style. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad, but it's her style, and I made her very, very likable. But I'd rather that's me. That's who I am. Because there were times where I was like, okay, I can go up here with an adversarial attitude. And I didn't want to. I honestly was like, I just want to have fun. Yeah. I want to be nervous and stuff. And so, yeah. So that was really cool last week. And then I did the interview with the newspaper. He called me on Monday, and unfortunately, I had to work till like midnight on Sunday night, and it just doing that. Just all of a sudden out of the blue, just puts me in a funk the next day. So when the reporter called me up, I got done and I was just like, oh, I just blew that so bad. I blew it so bad. And so the article came out on Wednesday in the paper. If anyone wants to see that, it's Idaho Mountain Express is our newspaper. If you look up Idaho Mountain Express, you can find the article in there. And I haven't read it because just like I don't like to watch myself on video, I don't like to read about myself in the paper.
Right.
It took me long enough to be okay with the sound of my own voice.
Right? Yeah. I hear you on that, man.
So, yeah. But everyone said it was good. And I decided that after Wednesday, I decided that I'm done. I'm done campaigning. the best part about this week also was getting dressed up and running downtown with my campaign sign, dressed up like a wicked jester, and handing out candies to the kids in exchange for their votes, promising them Halloween every day. I had so much fun. I gave away all my candy so fast, and I just had a blast. And I went, I'm good. I'm good. There's nothing that I can do now that's going to change anything one way or the other. And I'm ready for life to get back to normal. And it's been difficult because I've always had something to do every night. So when I come home, the nights that I haven't had anything to do, I felt really out of sorts. I don't know where I stand. I don't know what I should be doing. So I don't want to start anything because I know that the next night there's something else I have to do.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So it's, I'm looking forward to things being normal again to some degree next week. And, that'll be it. It's been a positive experience no matter what happens. And they ended in the paper. I guess that was the last thing they wrote, was that, I'd be happy to, no matter what happens, I'd be happy to end up on like the tree committee. And some people thought, well, that sounds kind of defeatist. And they're like, no, it doesn't. Wait a minute. I take that back. It's a positive thing.
Yeah.
That I truly just want to be, it's an opportunity to,
be of
give
service.
back to my community. Yeah, exactly. And meeting people has been awesome. And talking to people on the phone. I had a phone call with a resident he was honestly trying to figure out if he would vote for me. And he called me about something, and I was able to answer all of his questions. And he said, "Bring a sign over to my yard, please."
Nice.
And that was cool.
Nice.
And then he set it on fire. No.
That is really cool, though.
Yeah.
That is. Yeah.
So that's been my, and then, work, going to work and just doing work, it's been really good for me to, like I was telling you earlier, I set a budget. I set some ideas of what I wanted to do. Everything that I wanted to do, I've done.
Mm-hmm.
There were some other things I got to do that I didn't expect I'd do, and I'm glad I did. And other things that I was hoping I'd do that I didn't. But I set a goal for myself, and I feel like I accomplished it, and I set the priorities right. And in my life and in my world, that's a really good thing, because the Heno that drank a lot blew stuff off a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy that the isolationist in me would get too overwhelmed by the commitment and blow it off completely. And I blew nothing off. I kept up to my commitments with everything that I said I was going to do. Mm-hmm. And that's really good for my self-esteem as far as, yes, I have been able to change who I am.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and another thing to look at in proof that you're changing who you are is, again, at the beginning of the year, we did the, what's our word for the year, essentially, or what we're going to do. And you said action was yours.
Action.
And here we are in November now, almost at the point to look into next year to do the same thing. And, I'd say you've hit it,
I did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was a period in the summer where I'm like, haven't been feeling much action.
Right.
But you know what? It wasn't time yet.
Yep.
No.
Exactly.
So that's my update. And with that, I'll pass. See, I'm in group therapy anyway.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Brian, how are you doing? How's your week been? Been a few days since we talked.
Yeah. That's what, it's always tough when we record later than normal, because then I'm like, what did I talk about last time? Because, I went to the doctor on Halloween, actually, to get, to see if they could give me something to help me, when I have to have a tooth removed, because I had a panic attack when I went in to have it done before. So, my doctor was real cool about that, Unfortunately, my blood pressure's been testing real high. And, yeah, and it's weird. I haven't gained weight. I haven't done anything that should really be causing it necessarily, but it's been high the last, 4 times it's been checked. So, he's making an adjustment there. Which, whatever. It's, I'd rather do that than be at stroke level or something like that again,
Yeah.
like I was when I first went to the doctor. Anyway, so, it was kind of funny to me because he asked me if I had blood work done recently. And I was, he said that I needed to have blood work done. And I was like, I just had it done like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, And he's like, yeah, that's right. And then he pulls it up on the computer and he goes, well, let me look at the numbers. I'm like, well, I talked to the nurse and she said everything was good or acceptable. And he looks at me and he just laughs and goes, acceptable? And he goes, maybe for her. He's like, let's see if they're acceptable to me. And I'm sitting there going, oh no. Because I'm thinking, there's a good chance I'm going to get hollered at. But when he looked, he actually was actually really happy with, aside from the blood pressure, of course, but he was happy with, my sugar level had come down, my cholesterol was down, the stuff like that he's been, we've been, tinkering with the dosages on stuff I've been on at some point or changing medicines, whatever. Mm-hmm. So it looks like that's kind of moving the right way. And, so I was very relieved when he was like, "Oh, these are good." Like, whew.
That's awesome, though. I'm glad that the numbers turned out well.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is I'm happy about that too because it does make me feel good that I'm not just taking these medicines for no reason, like for no change basically. Because one I was on before for cholesterol, nothing. There was no change, and it's like,
oh wow,
yeah, and that's why he was like, well, we're taking you off of this because there's no point in you taking it, So yeah, that's, and Halloween was Tuesday, and I went to the grocery store after the doctor's office, and I wasn't thinking about it being Halloween yet. And, a bunch of the people at the store were dressed up and I'm walking around like, what is and I was like, oh, duh, it's Halloween, and, cause like when I got to the checkout, the bagger was dressed like like she worked in a doctor's office. And I thought she was standing there talking to the cashier. I didn't realize that she was the bagger, and then I saw her name tag and was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense that people are dressed up in here. So yeah, I was feeling real smart. I'm trying to think what else. That's about it that I can think of. I haven't really, haven't done much this week. I'm feeling better than I was last week though. Like I'm not feeling quite as meh as I was. I still am a little bit, but I'm convinced that there's going to be an element of that as long as the weather stays the way it is, which is, just overcast and rainy. So
it's true.
I don't think I can do a lot about that, so yeah, I try, but there's only so much you can really do about it, I can't make the sun break through the clouds.
Nope.
So, yeah, I feel like I said, I think that's it. I can't think of anything else. So.
Okay. Well, my week's been a really good week so far. Things, and I know I've said this before, people, but I really believe at this time things are starting to settle down at work.
Right. Now,
knock on wood and knock on everything, any surface nearby to make sure that happens. But as of right now, like last week I did 45, I want to say. In this week I'm going to be on schedule to do another about 45 hours. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this is a good trend that'll keep going. And we've got a couple extra people on board now that I think are going to be good additions to the team. And some positive changes may be happening. So I'm feeling good.
Good.
Which is awesome. It's a good place to be. And, unfortunately, I went to the vet today and found out that my overtime hours and stuff may be causing anxiety in my puppy. So my poor puppy is now on anxiety meds because he's been used to having someone around at all times. Mm. because my husband and I work opposite shifts. So being in the cage and not having us 24/7, that change in his lifestyle has caused a lot of anxiety on his part, so which is causing stomach upset and whatnot. So, yes, even my dog has anxieties. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
It exists a multi-dimensional across the board with animals alike. We all have anxiety. So,
Yeah.
But yes, so now he's on puppy pills to help him out, help him feel better, which makes me feel better, of course. A little guilty parenting, but, it happens. We can only be aware of so much, and we can only do so much for our fur babies and children.
Right.
So other than that, my father-in-law is in town. He's stopping by our place for a few days on his way up north to go hunting. So that's been really awesome having him here and to be able to have... I'm very thankful that I'm able to have the relationship that I do with my in-laws. I know there's lots of jokes and lots of things out there in the universe about, the evil in-laws and stuff. And I'm very fortunate that, my father-in-law and I just went out to dinner, just the two of us, the other night, and had a great conversation, had a very positive time. We both enjoyed ourselves, had great tacos, and it's nice to feel comfortable in that type of arena, in that type of setting, so I'm very, very thankful for that. And I guess, and that's, in a nutshell, kind of what I've been up to, other than, and this is going to be our segue into our topic tonight, eating all sorts of candy and chocolate. Yay, chocolate. The topic, what we're going to talk about, because of our wonderful Halloween, is chocolate. Does chocolate addiction exist? I don't know. Are you guys chocolate fans?
I'm addicted to chocolate.
Yeah.
How about you, Brian?
Yeah, I like the chocolate.
And I like the
all the
chocolate
chocolates.
That's actually not true. I love dark chocolate. I like milk chocolate, and white chocolate's not actually a chocolate, so I'm not even going to count it. But I don't really like white chocolate.
I don't like milk chocolate. I mean milk chocolate. I mean like the Easter time milk chocolate where it's real milky.
Oh, okay, I know what you mean.
You know how like the lightest kind of a milky Hershey's is about as vanilla chocolatey I can go.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And usually a lot of the Easter chocolates are even more milky than those.
Yeah.
They have less cocoa in them.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
And I would consider myself kind of a blend between, because I'm more of a fruity, chewy candy girl than I am a chocolate candy girl. But at certain times, nothing beats a good dark chocolate.
Yep.
I love myself some dark chocolate. Well, chocolate craving is very common, but can we actually be addicted to it? Can the powerful urges to eat truly be classified as an addiction? Now, this is kind of interesting because it kind of ties into some of our other conversations we've had about eating and emotional eating and quite a few different types of eating behaviors that we've talked about. They are still working in the science field to really classify eating addictions, because eating as addictions, because there's links to it, but then there's not, if that makes any sense. This article talks about it a little bit more in the future here. So, chocolate is the most frequently craved food in women, and many women describe themselves as chocoholics. Chocoholic insists that it is habit-forming, and it produces an instant feeling of well-being, and even abstinence leads to withdrawal symptoms. So that is all, conclusive of addiction. But, and there is some science behind it. When we eat sweet and high-fat foods, including chocolate, serotonin is released, making us feel happier. This partly explains the cravings common in seasonal affective disorder, SAD, which we talked about before, and premenstrual syndrome. In many women, the craving occurs on a monthly cycle, which suggests hormonal basis. A recent report in the New Scientist magazine suggests people can become overly dependent on the sugar and fat in fast foods. Princeton University researcher Dr. John Hobel found that rats fed on sugar became anxious when the sugar was removed. Their symptoms included chattering teeth and the shakes, similar to those seen in people withdrawing from nicotine or morphine. Dr. Hobel believes high-fat foods stimulate opioids or pleasure chemicals in the brain. This theory is backed up by many other studies. So we're getting close. A lot of the studies and stuff are talking about addiction and related, and how food and fatty foods and things are related to addictions. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't seem to be completely conclusive yet.
Right.
Well, I think there's so much. I think it's still so much more tied. I mean, yes, there's some brain chemical reaction, mm-hmm. but it still seems tied more tightly to behavior.
Yeah,
I would agree. It's tough to make that link. Now, chocolate contains several biologically active ingredients, all of which can cause abnormal behaviors and psychological sensations like those of other addictive substances. So, researchers at the University of Tampere in Finland found that self-proclaimed chocolate addicts salivated more in the presence of chocolate and showed a more negative mood and higher anxiety. The researchers state that chocolate addicts showed traits of regular addiction because they exhibit cravings for chocolate, irregular eating behaviors, and abnormal moods. It's still not considered a true addiction. While chocolate does contain potentially mood-altering substances, they are found in higher concentrations in other less appealing foods such as broccoli. A combination of chocolate's sensory characteristics, sweetness, texture, aroma, nutrients, and chemicals together with hormonal and mood swings largely explain the chocolate cravings. So you are right on point, Hannah, that it is more behavioral than it is anything else. Now, there are tips for curbing chocolate cravings, though. So I wanted to bring these up because I think these would be great for us to kind of talk about a little bit. So discover if the craving is emotional. We kind of talked about emotional eating before, but any tips or thoughts on emotional eating that we want to share?
It's really tough.
I know it's a loaded question, isn't it?
Like, other than the fact that I just do it, I mean...
Right.
Well, all right, so here's my excuse about this whole thing. When I stopped drinking, it took me 6 months to quit getting up every other hour all night long and eating chocolate. Or it didn't matter what it was, but it was chocolate cravings. Because my body was used to converting alcohol into sugar. And it's very typical with alcoholics. Because your body becomes dependent on, it's throughout your body. And so it was weird how all of a sudden at 6 months it just stopped. And after that, I continued to have a sweet tooth, but it was more behavioral. It had to do with more as soon as I got done eating a meal, it was like, oh, it's dessert time, right? Kind of a thing. And so there have been times where I got way too much on the sugar, and that's why I recommend you watch that Sugar film, where it explains a lot of stuff. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on every single service available. It will blow your mind. But when, the part where they tell you how they've literally engineered the sweetness in products to touch on those chemical reactions that our bodies have. There's a level of too sweet, that's too much, I'm not going to want any more. And not sweet enough, I'm not going to want any more. But right here, this is the magic number. This is the magic formula right here. And so, we are being manipulated because of the studies say that we can be manipulated.
Right.
Our bodies can have reactions. But the one thing when it comes to eating sweets, I haven't discouraged it. I mean, like I said, there's been times where I'm like, okay, this is getting bad. And I'm not talking about like gaining weight or whatever, but where I'm like, feel like I'm pushing myself towards a candida diet, that kind of reaction. But short of that, I've always allowed it because at least I'm not drinking.
Right. Yep.
And so
I've heard people do the exact same thing when they're trying to quit smoking, to where they'll have something else that they replace the smoking with, and like food wise, and they'll keep eating it, and they'll be like, yeah, but I'm not smoking anymore. And it's like, I get it, but you're still doing the behavior.
Yeah, you're still doing the behavior. Yeah. And yes, and for me, what it was is after I stopped drinking, I was drinking sugary sodas.
Sure.
And juices, which is just basically, you might as well just take a syringe and mainline sugar into my bloodstream. There's nothing to filter it down. At least with like chocolate, there's something else in there, like some nuts and some fiber.
Yeah.
But so that was once I stopped that, then I took a look at but when I'm really tired, like the last month, I've done a lot of, I don't call it emotional eating, I call it willpower done eating. And I think it was the New York Times did a great article where they talked about we only have so much willpower in a day. We have like a bank of it. It's a great article. And it kind of explains why sometimes at the end of the day, there's nothing stopping us from just mowing down and crushing boxes of, of crunch and munch and whatever it is, because we're done. We've used it all up, and so that's where I've done a lot of that lately, where I know I'm just tired and I just don't have the will to say no, you shouldn't.
Right.
So I do. So asking me for advice on emotional eating.
Well, and I've said I don't remember when it was. It was fairly recently. Like I talked about how I never saw myself as an emotional eater, but I've recently realized that I actually am, and that I tend to eat sweets, and when I have the most of craving for them, tends to be at like 2 a.m. And for those, if you're not aware, I stay up until like 6, 7 in the morning. So that's kind of like, say around your dinner time, normally you would have a craving or something. So what happens is I find that in a day, I won't eat sweets throughout the day. I mean, I may have like a Coke or something like that. So there is that. But other than that, I'm not really eating sweets. But then when I go into my room where I'm kind of just watching TV or whatever, and I'm aware of what I'm eating, so it's not just mindless, but it's, I'll usually have an apple, which, apple, at least there's redeeming qualities. Again, there's the fiber and all that, but it's still a sweet, concept. And,
sure.
Then I usually will have, if there's some sort of sweet in the house, I'll have that, or I'll even go to like frosted mini wheats, if those are in the house, and I'll just eat some of those, and it's like, because, and I said before, I think a lot of mine has to do with my depression, because that's and my anxiety, because that's when my brain starts racing and it starts going down bad places. The sugar and that stuff gives me a good feeling, so I think that's what I'm seeking, is I want that instead of the anxiety and whatnot. So I've been trying to do that less. Like, I'm not going to, I'm not cutting the apple out. I'm just trying to cut like chocolates and, other like candies or a donut or, that kind of stuff. Because I'm not eating because I'm hungry. I'm literally just eating because I have to have chocolate. My brain is saying you've got to have chocolate.
So. Right.
And can I say one other thing, which is that I absolutely abhor the term chocoholic, because that's not how English works. You can't, there is no chocohol, so you can't be a chocoholic. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
Anyway, moving on. It drives me crazy.
Is that like, it's like if there's a scandal, it gets the last 4 letters of gate?
Yep, exactly. And then it's like the hotel was called the Watergate. It wasn't Water-Gate or, something like that. It wasn't the front. It wasn't the front gate. To where it's 2 words. It's 1 word. It's like be like taking the last 3 or 4 letters of my name and just putting that on something.
Exactly. How about you, Jen? And emotional eating?
Oh, goodness.
Sugaring or chocolating?
Yeah, again, really quick, we did a whole episode on it that I believe is just called emotional eating. So if you want to hear more, there's quite a bit more in that.
Yes. And that's kind of where I was just going to go. I'm like, there's so much that I could say about emotional eating. I'm a heavier person, if for those who know me, those who don't know me, there you go. So emotional eating.
I prefer beautifully bodacious.
Thank you. I've got curves for miles.
That's what I tell people. I tell them, I tell them that I have curves.
Oh yes, it's curvy.
Actually, my favorite thing is from The Simpsons when it's the episode where Homer gets fat so that he can get on disability, and when he goes into the big and tall shop or whatever, a guy says we have all sorts of options for ample gentlemen like yourselves. So I say ample gentlemen a lot, or I say robust or not robust, Rubenesque. I've said that before too.
Rubenesque is awesome.
Yeah. I just like using
term.
I just like using those kind of terms anyway. So it's just goofy. But look, like I'll straight up just be like, look, I'm fat. And when other people, I'm like, no, look, I understand I am. It's okay. Anyway, moving on.
The F word, you got to be careful tossing that F word around.
It doesn't bother me because I know I am.
I know. Me too.
I appreciate people trying to be nice.
Exactly. It bothers me to the extent that I don't like that I've been able to get to this place in my life in this, but other than that, I mean, it's just a word. It's not that big a deal.
Yep.
You use one word for another. Some are more fun than others. I like using the fun ones.
I'd rather be called fat over husky. I used to
let's not pretend.
I used to hate the fact that I had to get husky pants, when I was a kid and stuff because they said husky on the pants. And that kind of stuff. And it's like, come on, you might as well just, they might as well just come, when you go to buy them, you might as well just have a bully right there to wedgie you, It's like, come on. So anyway,
But yes, emotional eating and I have been friends for quite a long time. But chocolate may not be my number one go-to, but it is definitely up there. I definitely have my chocolate moments that I need. The thing that we talked about a lot, and they mentioned actually in this article of things to kind of do to curb your cravings, there's some really good stuff. If you're feeling bored and craving chocolate, go for a walk, run an errand, talk to a friend, read a book.
Go for an errand, like walk into the corner store to get chocolate?
Could be. No. Quite possibly be the errand to run. But if you take your mind off food for a short time, the craving may pass. It doesn't quite work in Henno in your example.
Yeah.
Because, in the middle of the night, it's kind of tough. Same thing with you, Brian. It's kind of tough to...
Yeah, I'm not going for a walk at 2 a.m. That ain't happening.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be a Law and Order episode in the morning. Some jogger's going to be running by and, Anyway.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Somebody will steal my chocolate,
Exactly. Can't have that happening. Now, this one I don't agree with. Make sure you always have healthy food nearby, so you can replace the chocolate with fruit a few times a day. Nope, not happening, folks.
No.
If I have a chocolate bar and I have an apple, the apple's going by the wayside.
I will say this. If I have a choice between like a chocolate bar and an apple, there's times I would take an apple. But
Oh, I'll have both.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the example I just
better.
gave, is that I would probably eat both.
Yeah.
But I also, it's like when I'm craving chocolate, I want chocolate. If I eat something else, it's not going to satisfy that, no matter what these people say. Even if it's sweet, it's not chocolate. So my brain keeps going chocolate, 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 you know, and I might as well just have a little bit of chocolate and shut it up and be done with it, you know?
Funny you mentioned that. The next one is incorporate small portions of chocolate into your usual diet rather than fully restrict yourself.
Yep.
Like
I recommend Dove. The little Dove squares.
Those are good.
Oh, I was thinking like chocolate milk over your cereal. No.
With some chocolate powder and chocolate jimmies.
For sure, yeah. I mean, look, I won't lie. Like when I was making like smoothies for breakfast and stuff, you know, when we were using like the vanilla protein powder, I would throw, you know, a little bit of chocolate in there, you know. So it's, you know, because I just would rather taste chocolate than vanilla protein powder, you know.
Always a good choice. Now, if you think it's necessary, do not allow chocolate in the house. I don't think there's ever a situation where it's not necessary to have chocolate in the house.
Yeah.
So, let's see. And finally, it's a good idea to increase your level of exercise. To burn off excess calories and or increase your yeah, you know what I'm saying, folks.
Like metabolism.
Yep.
Thank you.
Metallica.
Metabolism.
Right.
Metabolism.
Yeah.
Oh, metabolic. Yeah, that's the word we were going for. Metabolic rate. Exercise also releases endorphins, which counteract stress, anxiety, and depression. So,
That's true.
Yes.
And that's why I work out.
Yep.
So I can eat chocolate.
Well, you know, and again, given the example I just gave about the protein shake, I mean, you can put your chocolate right there, you know, after you work out,
true.
chocolate protein shake, you know, or whatever.
There was when I lived with Neil way back when. He at that time it was him and his girlfriend, and Mary at that time of month would come home and be like, "Hannah, you craving any chocolate?" And in the first 3 months of the year, I would always stop drinking. And I craved chocolate like crazy. It was my little thing. I went from New Year's to my birthday in March, always.
Okay.
And during those 3 months, I craved chocolate like crazy. And so Mary would be like, "How you feeling?" I'll be like, "Chocolate." we'd literally go to like the 7-Eleven and grab like the discount bags of chocolate, you know, and then go watch Star Trek Next Generation together. And Neil would like come home. We're just sitting there with just like little, you know, the little wrappers of chocolate all over the table. We're just
right. I'm just when you said when you said that, like, how are you doing? Chocolate, you know, it's just like I'm picturing you as like a Hodor at that point, you know, chocolate. Like, I think we should get Henno some chocolate. chocolate.
Squirrel.
And there is one thing we did not mention about chocolate. It's really, really good for recovering after. Oh my god, I forgot the names of those things from Harry Potter. I lost it now. Wah, wah, wah. Went for a joke, completely lost it. No, the only thing that's coming to my mind is Bogarts, and that's not it.
I'm just picturing a bunch of Henno, like clones of Henno's dog.
French bulldog.
Yeah. Just like an
I know
army.
what you're talking about. It's something with it is something with a B like that.
The Bogarts are the ones that can mimic everything, and they mimic Dementors. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, I actually could have gotten that one because that word popped in my head. I just was like, I'm not going to say it because I don't know anything about Harry Potter, really.
So, what happens is when the Dementors try to steal your soul, do the kiss of death, pretty much, the kiss of death, if you can fight them off, then you need chocolate. Yes, you eat chocolate.
Chocolate.
And you eat chocolate, and it makes you feel better. Chocolate? Chocolate's good.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
What's up? What's happening? Chocolate.
Yeah.
What's going down, son?
Yeah.
Chocolate. As a matter of fact, I'm feeling like hot chocolate.
All about chocolate. Love the stuff.
Yep.
Well, folks, so just to keep in mind, kind of a quick recap, there is no such thing as chocolate addiction, but there are chemical things that happen in your body to make chocolate more desirable than some other things.
Yeah, you get.
Most of it's
really, I think.
behavioral.
I was going to say, I think if you're getting addicted, it's to the behavioral part of it, or it's to the payoff more than it is the chocolate. You know, that feeling of, you know, that good feeling after you get it. You know, when you're huddled in a corner like Smeagol or something like that.
But it doesn't make some feelings less real.
No, yeah, I agree.
As we've talked about before, feelings are nouns, not verbs. So they are nouns. They are things. They exist.
Yep.
And
hey, you get between me and my chocolate, and you're going to get Gollum.
my precious. Love it. But yes, they're nouns. Feelings are very important, and they need to be acknowledged. And, you know, sometimes if that acknowledgement means you have to have chocolate, you have to have chocolate. Just everything in moderation, of course.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest key there is, like, you know, if you have to feed the chocolate, like I said earlier, you know, it's like sometimes you just have a little bit of chocolate and you're like, I'm good, you know, and that's why they have like those gums out that are flavored like different desserts, you know, because for some people that works, you know. I'm not one of those people, but for some people that works, you know. And, you know, like for me, usually it'd be like, you know, if I just had, you know, really small, like you said, those Dove, you know, squares or, you know, small Snickers or something like that, I'm good. I just need a taste. Like we had ice cream here for a while and I literally would just open it, take a spoon in it and just, you know, and then just eat what I had scooped onto that spoon, and that was it. It's like I just wanted a little taste of it. I didn't want a whole bowl of ice cream, kind of a thing, you know. So
that worked for you. I mean, that's the important part, is paying attention to your system and knowing what your craving is, and tapping that. And
no, I won't mention that was like 4 a.m. when I did that, but
that's about the usual time, anyways, for that type of thing. All right, guys. What do you think? We good?
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool. With that, folks, if you want to continue the conversation, you want to join us on the show, you have ideas for us that you want us to talk about, let us know, and you know how. You can reach me on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with a G. You can also reach us at our podcast. Our website. Website, which is thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com. And you can also write us an email at thecrazylifepodcast@outlook.com. Hanno, how can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at IdaHenno. Find me on Facebook, Henno Heiter. And if you haven't seen it and want to see it before I shut it off, votehenno.org.
Awesome. And if you happen to be in Haley, vote for Henno.
Come vote. Vote often.
Wait a minute.
Oh, sorry. Did I say that?
I don't think it works that way.
And you, Brian?
You can also find the show on Twitter at The Crazy Life Pod, where I post when new episodes go up. You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. You can find my other podcast at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. That show is not safe for work, so, don't play it for the kids. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/crazylifepodcast, where we have some really good resources on the notes page, for like NAMI.org and, suicide prevention hotline numbers and stuff. So if you need something like that, check that out or let one of us know and we can, point you in the right direction. We're part of the Tangentbound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. So go check out some podcasts over there. They got a bunch of different ones on various topics and what have you. And if you'd like to help us out, if you're on iTunes, please rate, review, and subscribe. That'll help us show up higher in searches and whatnot. If you're using other apps, please use the like or share options if they have them for the same reason. I think that's all the links there. So remind everybody that we're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind. We're just three people sharing our opinions and an article or whatever you want to do. If you feel you need help with something, please don't be afraid to reach out. Don't wait forever like I did. Just, seek the help that you need. Also, please don't self-diagnose and don't replace therapy. Don't replace therapy with this show. Make sure if you need the help, you go seek the help. Go get the estimate, as I keep saying. And then, if you feel as though you may harm yourself or others, please call someone. Don't be alone. If it's a suicide prevention hotline number, so they can talk to you through the crisis, or a friend to come over, or something along those lines, or have someone take you into a hospital and tell them that you're having a mental health emergency and whatnot. But please, again, please don't be alone. Please don't act on it. And if you catch yourself like even planning it or writing a note or notes about how you would do it or apologizing or whatever, please report, tell your doctor or someone at that point, because that's one of the first steps in it. So if you catch it then, it'll be a lot better than catching it later. And then lastly, as I like to say, and I keep doing more and more over time, which is reach out to somebody. I actually went down kind of my list of people that I've talked with on Twitter in DMs or whatever this week, and I was like, I haven't talked to them in a long time. Shot them a message, hey, how you doing? Kind of a thing. So, reach out to people, see how they're doing, tell them you love them, tell them you appreciate them. Because it can either, may just make their day, or as I've said plenty of times before, you never know, it might save their life. So, yeah, there you go.
Awesome. And very, very true. So that, folks, make sure you keep breathing, wiggle your toes, and have some chocolate. And enjoy your week.
Chocolate.